All right. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Today is Monday, August 7th, 3:04. This is a special committee on long-term healthcare. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Alderwoman Boyd.
Today.
Present.
Alderwoman Sanye. Christine Ingracia. Danielle Spradley. Jamie Opsel. Marjorie Moore.
Present.
Harold Braswell.
Present.
Chris Beckley. Cassandra Kaufman.
Present.
Lavita Richardson.
Present.
Cindy Jackson. Kevin Anthony.
Present.
Andrew Lackey.
Present.
Laura Barrett.
Present.
Kathleen Holmes.
Present.
Emily Stover.
Present.
Chair Aldrich.
Present.
Alderwoman Sanye. Christine Ingracia. Danielle Spradley. Jamie Opsel.
Present.
Chris Beckley. Cindy Jackson. We have 12 present. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I would like to make a motion that we approve the minutes from our last meeting Monday, July 31st, almost said August 31st, July 31st, like a motion to, or adoption to approve the minutes from July 31st. Is there a second?
Second, Kathleen Holmes.
So the motion was made by you, Mr. Aldrich, and second by Holmes.
Mm-hmm. All in favor, aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next we're going to move into discussions, which we will have some speakers speaking to us. But before we welcome our special guests and they give us kind of an update on their end, I wanted to pass it over to Madam Vice Chair, who may have an update on Hillside, which she had talked about last meeting. That continues to be an ongoing conversation.
Right.
I'm sorry, are you talking about me?
Yeah, you the Madam
Oh!
Vice Chair. When I said that
Okay.
earlier, I was like,
Yeah, I'm sorry, sir. I am so sorry. I was like, who is he referring to? Who's the vice chair? I'm sorry.
you good, all the
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I apologize. I'm excited. Lori and I was talking before people got on because I have been in conversation with Corey Bush's office, Moreland Anderson's office, and I spoke to 3 state people, and I spoke to a lady, ironically, this morning. And so, as Mr. Theo did say, she had told me they came in, apparently when they didn't have the air, when it was the 100-degree weather, they were hotlined. And so the state came in, she said, and Mr. Theo, if I'm off, tell me, July the 28th, the state came in. And they were monitoring and told them they had an ultimatum, either get this building where it needs to be or they were shutting this building down. And that's when she said they came back and they had new air conditioners for all the residents in their rooms. And then they even bought, I want to say, fans and stuff for the hallways to cool it down, to cool that building down. And so now we're working on the life-saving violations that they have. And I want to thank SEIU because they were real instrumental in working with me to help in regards to getting this message out. We did have a town hall meeting Saturday, and so I can't give you more detail, but apparently a resident had got jumped onto something at Hillside. So I have to get more information. What I explained to the guy that gave me the information, I need names and information so we can hotline that. I said, but if this patient went to the hospital has hotlined this. So that's what I'm waiting on now for that part. So I'm excited because I feel like we're making steps and that we're sending a loud message. But again, I told the last person from the state that I talked to was, this has been going on for too long, and I'm just trying to figure out why is it taking so long for them to correct it or close it down. I said, I'm just not okay with this, because what I believe that they think that they will do, they'll put a Band-Aid on it, and then they'll figure we'll go away. And so that's not going to work for me. I'm not going away. So I'm going to continuously work with people. And I'm going into the building also to make sure that things are where they need to be for those seniors. So thank you, Mr. Chair, for allowing me to give the report. I was just so excited because when I heard all those people got air conditioners, I was like, thank you, Jesus. And so now I'm trying to be proactive. So I want to look at the furnace to get us ready for the winter time, to say, make sure that they're in a warm environment also. So I did bring it up again this morning and say, if the owner continuously keeps sliding around, I'm going to push to close the building. So the state is real clear about it, because I did talk to Joe Palm and he made some calls. And so people start calling me and we start following up on it. So like I said, between the state and then Cori Bush's office and SEIU, thank you, because you all really worked with me to help make this happen for these seniors, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for that kind of update on the Hillside, and just for the public awareness of it. Hillside is a long-term care facility, one of many that, as this committee is charged to figure out how do we make sure that these long-term healthcare facilities that are taking care of our elders and our neighbors and our grandmothers, our grandpas, are actually doing the right thing. So last meeting, there was a conversation about Hillside. I know there's somebody here that will be talking more from the Hillside perspective, but Alderwoman, Madam Vice Chair, Ms. Boyd had talked about, and that's in your ward, correct, Madam Vice Chair? Just continuous issues that went on, and she has followed up on and continue to follow up. So I appreciate you, and it sounds like also Representative Marlon Anderson and Congresswoman Cori Bush, as well as SEIU, for really holding these facilities accountable for doing the right thing. That's the only thing people are asking to do, is just to do the right thing. So thank you so much, Madam Vice Chair. Next, like I said, we have two speakers. So to be respectful for everybody's time, I want to dive straight on in. I know we have Mr. Theo here from Hillside. Are you there, Mr. Theo?
Yes, I'm here.
All righty. If you could just do me a favor before you give your testimony and your story, Mr. Theo, can you raise your right hand for me? All right. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right. Thank you for being here, Mr. Theo. The floor is yours.
Well, as we stated before, the state was here like a week or two ago, and they gave the people an ultimatum that they had to get at least one brand new air conditioner for every room, which they did, and they put them all in that night. I know a lot of the people that work here didn't get out of here till like 1 o'clock in the morning because they're putting in air conditioners. Most of the reason why I landed here is because I hit my head so traumatically that I lost most of my memory. From the time I woke up in a St. Louis hospital, the doctor told me I was out for 4 days. And then we ran some tests and whatnot, and it looks like that I probably won't get my memories back. But I'm okay with that. I've got friends here. I got people taking care of me. The building is in disarray. They would be better off tearing it down and starting over. That's my personal opinion. Another thing is that we got to get these nurses off their phones and make them do their job. That is the main thing. because there is human rights violations being made here every single day, and I see it. But I can't do anything about it because they have to voice it themselves. Anyway, I see residents up on 1 Main, that's a far cry from where I'm at, where they need assistance using the restrooms. But you can't get these nurses off their phones because they're too busy playing games or holding conversations or texting somebody or what have you. And by the time they get around to helping these people, they have already soiled themselves, and then the nurses get mad at them for doing that. It doesn't make sense to me. Now, the place that I ran, I'd go in early and I'd have coffee or have breakfast with the residents. I listen to their problems, their concerns, their stories. And one day I got to walking around, and believe it or not, I saw what they were talking about. Everybody was on their phone. So I implemented a memo that stated that on such and such a date, I would, on such and such a date, that no phones will be allowed during working hours unless you're on a break. If I see you on your phone when you're supposed to be working, that's strike number 1. If I see you on your phone a second time in the same day, that's strike 2. Now, I implemented the disciplinary measures that state, if I catch you on your phone a second time in the same day, you know where the door is and don't come back, because obviously that phone is more important than your job, that you are supposed to be taking care of these residents. These residents have the highest priority that come with the job. They have the utmost respect. That's what they're supposed to get. And they don't get it here. They look at you like you're full of it. Did everybody get that?
Yep. Was you done with your testimony, Mr. Theo?
Yes, I am.
Okay. First, thank you so much for telling your personal story as a resident of Hillside, and giving your personal testimony in front of this committee today. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Does anybody on? No problem. Does anybody on the committee have any questions to Mr. Theo? All right. I'm not seeing any. I'm seeing
I'm
one.
sorry. I do. Mr. Theo, my question is with the, you said that the nurses are on the phone. So where is administration? Where's the head nurse with all this? I think he froze. Yeah, I think he froze, Chair.
Okay. If we get Mr. Theo back, I know you had a question, Madam Vice Chair, and I see Lori hand is up also. I'll work on trying to get him back on the end to see if we can get him back in. But if he does pop in, somebody please flag that for me. Next, I do want to go to, I think we have Mr. Smith here?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, Mr. Smith, how you doing?
Good.
All righty. Before you start, could you raise your right hand?
Will do.
Before you get your testimony, you swore to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. Before we go to you, Mr. Smith, give me 1 second. Are you back with us, Mr. Theo?
Yes, I am.
All right. We had a few questions for you. Is that okay?
Yep.
All right. Madam Vice Chair, did you want to ask that question?
Yes, sir. So, Mr. Theo, where is the, because I'm hearing the issues that you are saying is there. Where is the charge nurse, the DON, administrator? Where are those people at in regards to this?
Well, at this particular point in time, the current DON that we have, her name is Robin. She's getting ready to step down.
Okay, and so the administrator,
And as far as the floor nurse, you can't get these people to do anything. Their phones are more important to them instead of the residents.
so where is the administrator? Do you all see the administrator?
Right now, the administrator's pregnant and she's getting ready to have a kid. I don't know when she's leaving, but I mean, I don't know if she's leaving permanently yet, but I know she's going on maternity leave. I don't know when that's taking effect. It's chaotic around here right now because you got people leaving left and right. I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Ms. Lori?
Yes,
Laura?
yeah, thank you. Hi, Mr. Theo, this is Laura. I'm with SEIU. We're a union that represents the workers at Hillside. And I thank you so much for your testimony today. It really means a lot to hear from the residents. You're such an important part of this equation. And thank you for telling the truth about what's going on. That's just really important. I was wondering, Mr. Theo, if you've seen a difference over the last couple of years since you have a new owner of the facility. Have you seen a difference between when the new owner took over and before then? Has that affected the staffing or the quality of the care that you're getting?
Right now, I have certain staff members who will confide in me as long as I keep their identity secret. And they've been telling me that the current owners are from Reliance, I believe, and they are cutting people left and right. They're more interested in the money than taking care of people.
Thanks a lot. So it sounds like you have noticed a difference with the new owners.
Absolutely.
All right. Any other questions while we have Mr. Theo online? If not, I do want to echo again, Mr. Theo, really do appreciate your personal testimony. I think that is an important aspect as this committee move forward and we come up with recommendations that we also hear from people who have been personally affected by living in these facilities. So thank you so much for continuing to tell your truth and not be scared about it. And hopefully this committee can do some positive work to change conditions, not in just your facility, but ones all across the city. So thank you so much.
You are very welcome. And if you ever need to get a hold of me, Lisa knows how to do it.
Absolutely. If we do, we won't be shy of reaching out to you.
All right.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.
All right. Mr. Smith, you still there?
I'm still here.
All right. If you could just give an introduction who you are and then go straight to your testimony. I already swore you in, so the floor is yours.
Sure. Well, wow. It's great to have a chance to listen to people that are on the cutting edge of what's been happening in terms of nursing homes. You're really at ground zero in terms of a perfect storm, in terms of nursing home care in this country. There are huge disparities, both by income and by race, in terms of the care that people get around the country. And in St. Louis is one of the 10 metropolitan areas that have the greatest disparities in terms of care, both in terms of staffing, in terms of financial, the viability of the homes, and in terms of the ratings and gradings of facilities that typically go on. So I've been involved in doing studies of nursing home regulation for my entire career. I'm now at an age, probably age older than most of the residents in the nursing homes. But I do continue to write and get involved in class action types of lawsuits in terms of the kind of care that's received and the kind of efforts that have been done to monitor care. Access to nursing homes to Blacks residents has actually improved dramatically in the last 50 years. They used to be totally excluded or almost excluded. They're now involved at least in an equal basis in terms of getting care from the facilities that exist. One of the problems that people face in terms of getting access to nursing homes is the efforts of many homes to exclude first day eligible medical assistants or Medicaid patients, and to basically use the Medicaid program as a catastrophic insurance program for the more affluent. And the growth of the private assisted living industry is basically has helped support that. There, I guess, are you've already talked about some of the issues involved in this. But the more transparent what goes on in the nursing home is, the more it's possible to influence them and change them. The more uniform the payment to homes is, so that they don't selectively exclude people that are first day eligible Medicaid patients, the better. And in some states, they've managed to do that. And finally, but I mean, it's trying to exclude first day eligible Medicaid patients from facilities continues to be a problem. I look forward to listening to your discussion and your issues. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I also put together some PowerPoint with some references to some of the books that I've written and some of the current efforts that I've involved in, including the article. So Harold, I think will provide that to you if you're interested. There are lots of kind of interesting stories to be told. Thank you.
I'm on mute. I was talking. Thank you, Mr. Smith, for your time. Mr. Harold, I see your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, David. I will circulate David's PowerPoint, and I do have, I guess I have a few questions. So the situation that we're dealing with, as I understand it, people might understand it differently here in St. Louis, is a little bit, I don't know if it's idiosyncratic, but I'm curious your thoughts about it. The problem has not been people getting turned away from nursing homes, or at least the central problem is not people getting turned away from nursing homes, including Medicaid paying patients. It's rather that nursing homes, which very recently have been increasingly bought out by, run by out-of-state private equity firms, are enrolling residents who are younger and younger. I think you're right about what you said about your age versus the average age of a nursing home resident in St. Louis City. Actually, it's dropped dramatically in the last decade. And a lot of people with severe persistent mental illnesses in nursing homes. And, the facilities really weren't built for that. And, it's created a significant amount of issues. And, Hillside that Theo was talking about would be an example of a nursing home with an out-of-state owner, et cetera. So I guess, how do you sort of make sense of this in terms of the research that you've done on race in nursing homes? And I should also say that these nursing homes that are predominantly funded by Medicaid, they often have a larger African-American residential population and are in areas of the city that have historically suffered housing discrimination as well. So I'm curious about how you would make sense of this in terms of your research. And also I'm curious about some of the class action suits you've been involved in, and if you have any ideas about what a small Midwestern city like St. Louis might be able to do concretely to, maybe defend our nursing home residents, whether it's against out-of-state, venture capitalists or, the rights of people like Theo in homes here. Like, what could we do as a local municipality, not a state, not a country?
Yeah, I mean, the private equity firms that are taking over nursing homes are an absolute disaster everywhere. Whatever you can do to exclude them from being owners or participants, because they'll just take the money and run. I think the bigger problem that you face, which is to also that is faced in Detroit and in Cleveland and in Chicago, is that the disappearance of the state mental health system has forced a huge amount of pressure to push the mentally ill into nursing homes that aren't really equipped to care for them. You are being faced with a younger population, a population that probably many of them are acting out and are more difficult to control than typical nursing home residents. And everybody is kind of looking the other way because the hospitals don't have to treat these patients. The patients themselves like being in the nursing homes more than they do in the substandard boarding homes that are available for people that are mentally ill or have serious other types of problems. And so you become sort of the nursing homes become sort of a dumping ground. When really these facilities are not really appropriate for this particular population. Now, I mean, I think there are laws that prohibit the long-term mentally ill being reimbursed by Medicaid in nursing homes. And that's probably, and everybody tends to sort of look the other way in terms of this, because obviously the homes themselves want to operate as full occupancy as possible, and their medical needs are much more limited. So you don't quite need the same kind of staffing in terms of skilled nursing and other services. So there is been a continuing tendency to flow these individuals and patients into what used to be primarily for people over the age of 75 or 80. And it's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. It's dangerous. It doesn't serve anybody's interest, but we see this more. I've experienced this more and more in different areas where I've been involved in trying to work with homes that are predominantly minority homes in inner city areas that would not typically attract private pay patients. And so they're looking for bodies to fill beds. And it doesn't serve anybody's interest. But you're right. It's a problem that has just grown sort of under the radar, and it doesn't make any sense. But that's what's happening.
Thank you.
Did you have a follow-up, Mr. Howard?
No, I mean, no, I just want to say that, it's an interesting thing that I want to keep looking into, because what I'm hearing you saying is that actually this is probably illegal already, that there are laws on the books that say that, no, it is not appropriate to use Medicaid money to have people with severe and persistent mental illnesses sent into nursing homes. But on the one hand, you said it doesn't serve anybody's interest. In a genuine sense, you're right. But on the other hand, you also said, well, it kind of serves a lot of people's interests, because it helps hospitals, right, who don't want to deal with these patients. Residents, themselves can get, at least they have kind of four walls and a roof. And, it might even serve, and the people making money off the nursing homes' interests are served. So it's interesting, because the question then is, it's
the quality care that they will get in a nursing home in terms of food and cleanliness and all the other stuff make it very attractive for the mentally ill.
Yeah, and so the question then is, well, it's about enforcing the laws and making more attractive options for mentally ill people in the city of St. Louis, so that they will want to not live in nursing homes anymore. And I think that's clarifying for me to kind of see those two things come into view. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we've lost 95% of the state psychiatric hospitals that used to care for this population. 95% of the beds. And the fiction was that all they needed was medications. And they could live largely in communities, in boarding homes and other kinds of stuff. The problem is, of course, the dollars from the state's psychiatric hospitals didn't follow these patients in the communities, and the resources that have been provided for this population are very, very limited. In fact, it is the at the center of the national homelessness problem. in the country and in many areas, and including both coasts, both in New York and in Los Angeles and San Francisco and a bunch of other places. And it's not. Problem is that people just haven't been honest.
Ms. Cassandra, I see your hand is up. I'm gonna give you the floor, and then also see followed by Ms. Moore. Ms. Cassandra, you first.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. Mr. Smith, you mentioned at the very beginning of your testimony that St. Louis was one of 10 areas with the greatest disparities. I was trying to jot those down. Would you repeat what those disparities are?
Sure. They're basically a summary of all the indicators that have been collected from the basic minimum data set that has that summarizes the evaluations of nursing home inspectors, the proportion of the homes that are Medicaid, the staffing in terms of nursing and other types of assistance. You put all those together and you end up with numbers for the nursing home service area of St. Louis that are, I think, the third worst in the country.
Thank you. And the other question I had, just really quickly, I believe Mr. Braswell had said that you're affiliated with a university. Which
Yes.
university? I was just curious.
Oh, sure. Temple University in Philadelphia. And I also have an appointment at Drexel University, which is a school of public health.
Thank you very much.
Both in Philadelphia. Buy my book.
All right, I'm gonna go on to Ms. Moore.
Thank you again, Mr. Barton, for your testimony. I appreciate it. Something that you said was really interesting to me, and I think that it was that as you were talking about the situation with Medicaid and assisted living, it really reminded me of what we've done with our public schools, with private schools, by pulling the folks that can afford something out and leaving those that need, that don't have the funds to almost a second class level of care. What my question is, I'm thinking about what can we do that is better, more humane, more appropriate for people with severe and persistent mental illness in our community. And I'm wondering if you've seen states that are doing it better, places that have good solutions for places to help house these folks, or what are other states doing that's working?
I think that I'm not aware of any place that is really working well. I think the states that obviously have more money, New York, possibly Massachusetts, are probably doing a better job. But they just have more in the way of resources that they can plow into these things. But I think it's just a problem that we have just pushed under the rug, and nobody's been really honest to admit to it, that we have maybe as much as 1% of the population in this country that are chronically mentally ill. And at best, these medications can keep them from disturbing other people in the communities where they're living. But in most cases, the compliance rate in terms of taking these medications is less than 10%. And so you're just creating a revolving door. They're going to the emergency rooms. They're being pushed into some of the more marginal nursing homes, and they're being pushed back on the street and into the prison system, which is obviously not a very good place for them to be. And it's just a major mess that nobody wants to touch because solving it would be such a large, require such a large financial investment. I think some of the European countries have certainly done a better job in terms of providing much more attractive and supportive living arrangements for people that are chronically mentally ill. And that has worked better for them. England has done a pretty good job. Some of the Scandinavian countries have been excellent, but in terms of what they've been able to do, but that's kind of a distant goal for a country that has now essentially privatized almost all of its healthcare system, including almost all of its mental health system.
Ms. Moore, did you have a follow-up at all?
No, I worry because as I think most of us know, Missouri is currently under investigation by the DOJ for the way that we're treating our mentally ill residents and placing them in nursing homes. And I'd love to have a solution, but I appreciate that really nobody does. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Laura, you are up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One thing that we've noticed, hi, Mr. Smith, I really appreciate your testimony today. It's helpful the way that you're putting it into a much more universal frame, but I'm also going to be fascinated to see this PowerPoint and where you line out how St. Louis is the worst, and we've got like some St. Louis disparities, so I'm going to be really interested to see all that. One thing that we did notice when we were looking through all of the statistics on Missouri over the last couple of years and who is in nursing homes in Missouri is that, and this is probably the only cheering part of the statistics that we looked at, which is that folks with cognitive disabilities have left Missouri nursing homes for the most part. And so I wondered if you had any insight on how that, how that may have happened around the country, or any thoughts about that. My only analysis that I've got so far is that they have better lobbyists up at the state capitol, but I'm not sure if that's absolutely true. So we're still investigating that, looking into it. But definitely, when you look at the numbers, you can see that folks with, before the pandemic even happened, folks with cognitive disabilities tended to leave nursing homes. So I wonder if you had any thoughts about that. Thank you again for all your tremendous work.
Can you clarify your question again? Because I lost a part of it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
What is it?
So folks with brain damage, Down syndrome, other cognitive disabilities seem to have left Missouri nursing homes and are now being housed in other places. And I wondered if that was, and that happened before the pandemic to some extent. So I wondered if you had any insight into that statistic.
It sounds like somebody's doing something right. I hope. I don't know where they're going. One of the things you have to be really careful about is that the nursing homes, of course, respond to their payment system. And I worry that these people being discharged just because they're in other diagnostic categories that they can make more money off of. So you have to be careful, but you also have to acknowledge that that money makes a difference in terms of how people are cared for.
Did you have a follow-up, Ms. Laura? Seeing that she did, I'm gonna go to.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go to Vice Chair Boyd.
Thank you. I was asking, you said that a lot of people, I was hearing Laura and they were saying that a lot of people with head injuries and issues were being moved to other places or not in those nursing homes. And a lot of them I know were being taken home. They were literally taking people home because, one, we need to realize the nursing homes, that's not what they were set up for. So they have taken on something that they had no idea of what they were supposed to do. They don't need medically, because you got to realize the doctors that are there are for geriatric patients. It's not for people with head injuries or stroke patients or alcoholics. That's not what those doctors' expertise were. And so when I was working in there, I kept telling the owners, because they had enough buildings where they could actually put people in a whole nother building away from those seniors, and they wouldn't do it. And so, David, you're correct. It's about the dollar. They're looking at how much they're going to get. Each person it's just like the prison system. It's how much they're going to make off of each person. And so how the system works, once you get in there, you spend up your 100 days, then they ready to ship you out so they can get some more money. And so that's what we have to be realistic about. It's not about patient care, and it's not about, like Theo was saying, well, the nurse is on the phone, because it's not about patient care. It's about the dollars. They look at census, and that's what drive those owners in regards to nursing homes. So when you have owners that have building space that can change that whole dynamic and doesn't, that's where I think we need to be more vocal to start challenging them. Even to the point I kept complaining, because when I first got in working with nursing homes, the first thing I noticed, those seniors play bingo, they had those kind of games. Then we got younger people. I said, these people not playing no bingo. They don't know nothing about this. I said, so you're not trying to accommodate the age group that's coming in. That's why you need to separate them. So the whole nursing home industry has been taken out of context. And so who loses? Those seniors are the ones that's losing. They're losing in the long run. And I believe in my heart, and I'm not a doctor, but it shortens their lifespan because they're not taken care of properly. They're not happy. They feel unwanted. And so what happens? They go into a state of depression and they give up. So I think, as I heard somebody say DOJ, I think Parson and Congressman Bush and the state reps and senators, we need to come together to say, how do we look at the nursing home industry and what is actually needed to address the issues that the nursing home industry cannot address? So, I mean, that's just my point. So that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
No problem, Madam Chair. Mr. Andrew, I see your hand is up.
Yes. So I just, I think, and I don't know the answer to Laura's sort of question, but I suspect that it has to do with the home and community-based Medicaid waivers for those specific populations. So families, so the vice chair was saying, that families can take those folks home and potentially receive funding to get to have those folks receive care at home. Whereas there's kind of a difference between special, and this is particularly relevant, and I'm talking about my understanding of of the Missouri system. So within the Department of Mental Health, for example, you have the Division of Developmental Disabilities, which has waivers, Medicaid waivers for home and community-based supports, but then the Behavioral Health Division does not have those waivers. So you don't have as many community-based supports. So that may be one reason why those populations are easier to move out of the nursing homes. That I don't know that for sure, but that would be my strong suspicion.
Mhm. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Mr. Andrew. If anyone has any other questions for Mr. Smith? Seeing none, Mr. Howard, I see that you put in the presentation. If you could send that in the email to everybody so that we can have that in the Google Drive, so that everyone could be able to see that for the Google Drive. If they want to go back to it, that would be helpful, Mr. Howard. If no other questions, thank you so much for coming in front of us, Mr. Smith. If we need you, I'm sure we know how to beep you and reach you.
Great. Thank you very much. I enjoyed it.
No problem. We really appreciate your input on everything and looking forward to diving into that presentation.
Mm-hmm.
All right, still on discussions. I want to move it kind of an open discussion to the committee. So as of right now, we are tasked with probably having one more meeting. On the list that I have that reaching out to see if they can come in front of us is Mr. Shine from the city, as well as potentially Ms. Sheena, who is the counselor, just to maybe give some input on if we come up with recommendations, like what authority we may want to be looking at with that. Ms. Moore, are you still on the call, on the Zoom?
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay. Were you able to get in contact at all? I think it was Ms. Clemens potentially.
Yeah, so that was something I wanted to talk about. I did speak with her yesterday, and she wants to talk to us, but she is very concerned that if she speaks out, that she may, that her father may be evicted from his nursing home. She's really worried about just making waves and things like that. She's wondering a couple things. She said, maybe it's providing some written testimony without her name, anonymously, or talking more generally without naming the facility. And I was wondering about your and the committee's thoughts about that and ways that we may be able to protect her father in some way, shape, or form.
Well, I'm also, Gracie, if you're on, please, we'll divert to your expertise as well as former Alderwoman Boyd. I will say, these meetings are via YouTube. So even if with hiding the name, definitely don't want her father to get retaliated against, or maybe that written testimony can be provided to the committee so that it doesn't have to be online, so that we can still have some input, or she just want to be kind of vague in her testimony, she can do that, and then also still follow up and provide written testimony, so that we can have that for the committee's willingness to have it, so that we can potentially, if needed, for the report. Alderwoman Boyd, do you have any advice on that?
I go with your recommendation. That's probably safer for her father because, you know, if they have the same last name, so they'll probably be able to identify. And so she probably could submit anonymously the information, and then we could accept that.
Yeah. So if you want to, I say definitely want to protect her and protect her family first. That is more important than getting the information. So if you want to follow up with her, Ms. Moore, and then me and you communicate over the week to probably figure out the best way to go about it, we can do that. Because if we have her speak, I would say that, like I said, having Mr. Sean and Ms. Sheena coming in next week will probably be our last round of speakers. And then at the end of the speaking part, I want us to kind of dive into what it looks like moving forward for our recommendations. I plan to get a compiled list of all the meetings from last session to this session, even though all those meetings are on Google Drive, but just creating a nice little handout sheet of highlight stuff that has been brought forward to us. But really outside of the speakers that come in front of us next meeting, really want us to come up with an action plan of what that looks like, of coming up with a report, which I have to also think on what does that look like if we will have like small groups, which maybe we can meet outside of Zoom, or since we will have a quorum in those groups, will it be sunshineable where we have to do that kind of in person? So I got to get that information from the clerk, but would definitely love for the focus of the next Monday meeting is to wrap up the last few speakers we got, and then just kind of dive into what is the next steps for the recommendation that this committee can come up with. And that is open for discussion. So please, anybody jump in if you have any thoughts, any suggestions, or just questions. Not seeing none on anybody's hearts and minds. Lastly, I am also trying to, I should be talking with STL TV to see if we potentially can do the last speaker meeting at SEIU at Laura's place. So hopefully I have an answer by Wednesday, so people can kind of make arrangements for their schedule for the next meeting, but working on that Wednesday, or try to get an answer from STL TV. So hopefully we can try to meet in person. Any other 2 cents on the committee discussion? Ms. Moore, you have the floor.
Excellent. I just wanted to raise an issue that may come up over the next couple of weeks. With South City Hospital shutting down, my ombudsman have talked a little bit about the fact that a lot of people who are typically in nursing homes are currently residing in South City hospitals, particularly in their psychiatric ward, in a situation where a lot of facilities won't take them or won't take them back. The not taking them back part is pretty illegal, but it's happening nonetheless. And so I'm just, I want to raise that to the committee because I'm concerned that that may be a problem. I know that, so the ombudsman don't have any jurisdiction when somebody is in the hospital. But we are concerned about those folks because a lot of them typically are nursing home residents.
Thank you for flagging. I did see from the mayor's tweet about that she is convening Dr. Monty, who came in front of this commission, and also other city leaders around the closing of, was it South City Hospital? And what that looks like for trying to make sure that patients and others get the proper care and go to a facility where they would actually have support, and people that go to that hospital understanding that that's probably the one of close hospitals in that area. So I do know the mayor is on it, not saying that that shouldn't be raised. So I do appreciate you kind of raising that flag about that closing, because I think that's also pretty devastating that that is closing, and nervous also for the next steps of people in that location. Other thing I do want to flag real quick, I guess is more of an announcement. So after the article, if you guys haven't read it, that was in St. Louis Public Radio talking about the condition of the nursing homes, which Ms. Moore was featured in. Please check that out and please share it. STO or public radio. I think we reached out to potentially Laura. I know they reached out to myself. They want to kind of dive deeper into our nursing home facilities. That conversation may be happening this week. If I do figure out when that will be live, I'll make sure I send that out to everyone on the committee so that they can just be able to catch that and be able to capture that and share it as well. But they want to dive deeper into what's going on in our long-term facilities in the state of Missouri. And I want to kind of commend the committee, because I think there's been due to a lot of conversations that this committee has been having ongoing from last year, continuing to now. So a spotlight is kind of being shined on our long-term healthcare facilities, which I think as we continue to get to the part of the recommendations will be very important. So just want to put that out there on people's radars. Any announcement from any committee members? If not any announcement, I would like to, Madam Chair, if you can excuse any alderperson or committee member who is not present today.
Noted.
And I'll make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Adjourn to next Monday, August. Hold on my calendar. August 14th at 3 p.m. via Zoom right now until if I send out an email to see if we all be at the SEIU location, but make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
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 Bye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. See you guys next Monday.